Hello and good morning. It's actually quite a beautiful morning here, and I thought I'd start off this video with a bit of a positive message. So today kind of marks just past the halfway point of my first chemo cycle. If you can recall, it's a 3-week cycle or 21 days. And first, it starts with the IV, which is, at least for me, was the most potent and had the most serious side effects. But then it transitioned into the generally daily dose of the chemo at home, or the chemo in the box regimen, which it gave me symptoms, but it was something much less disruptive than the first set. So whereas the first set I had things like the nausea and the just raging headaches and overall really feeling crappy, it's now more of a sort of background thing for me. I'm constantly tired. I can't do pretty much anything physical that takes any sort of major effort, or I really can't even do minor things more than 15-20 minutes. And same with mental. I really can't engage in anything that's really strenuous or challenging mentally. And so kind of my days are trying to do a little bit of something and then resting a bit and up and down and up and down. So not too bad news. The other really good news is in a couple of days, I will stop this round of the chemo medication and I will be drug free for about a week. But then it starts all over again, and that goes for another 21 days, and I have 2 more cycles following that. So I have a lot more to experience, and we'll see where things go. Now, you may have noticed that I'm in a place that you haven't seen before, and you also may have noticed me scratching and swatting things because I have a swarm of mosquitoes around me. I'm in a very special place, and I just wanted to introduce you to part of my therapy, which is being around trees and a lot of green space, and I am in a very special place. I'm a little north of the city of Owen Sound, a small city in southern Ontario, about 2.5 hours north of Toronto, or Waterloo, which is where we normally live. And we have a bit of a property up here. We call it our disconnect property, where we get away. It's a lot quieter. You can hear the birds and all sorts of very pleasant things around here, and we're surrounded by trees. One of the more interesting things, and I'll take a walk with you. One of the more interesting things that we have is an off-grid sustainable home, and you can kind of get the sense of it through the solar panels on the side of the house. There's many other actual technical issues that make this house a sustainable, or at least intended to be sustainable home. In fact, there is a longer video on my channel on this. It's an older video and it doesn't have some of the fancier technical things that I'm trying these days on the current videos, but you may want to dig into it a little bit more. But for us, for this series of videos, it's more important to really think about the general surroundings. It's a very quiet area, minus all of the natural sounds. And as we will see very soon, it's also a place that's very wooded. And surrounding us are the hardwood forests of something that we call the Niagara Peninsula. So in that woods, which actually is part of our property, we have approximately 3 hectares or 6 acres of woods back there, and it's a joyous place, and it's cool in the summer. In the winter, it provides us heat through wood that we harvest from fallen trees, and in general, it's a chance for us to come, reflect, and just stay quiet for a little bit. And you can imagine how helpful that is for the situation we have right now. So we've been very lucky for the past past few weeks. You've seen us go through some of the first steps on this new episode for us. And I just wanted to introduce you to one very important part of it. This is the first time that I've been up since I started chemo. I was a little too weak in the past couple of weeks, or a little too uncertain to know whether being up here would be a good thing due to issues of medical care access and a bunch of things. Anyways, we feel good now, or I feel good, and it has been a really good weekend so far. The mosquitoes were really bad outside, so I'm inside right now. But I also thought maybe you'd like to see a little bit of what it's like indoors. And this is just one of our favorite rooms. And as you can see, it's very rustic. There's nothing really fancy about this place, and that's kind of the way we like it, and the reason why it's so effective. It's been nice to be able to get to some place where I don't have to think about much, and there aren't all of the distractions and things to deal with that is more common with cities, and so that's been wonderful. It's also helped Sharon in that she is able to disconnect a little bit. She's actually right now in the garden, dealing with one of our ongoing projects of how to develop more of a sustainable food environment within this area. And overall, I am sure it has helped, and I think you would agree with me. So in terms of any advice or comments, look, I realize that this is an absolute privilege to have a place like this, and it's privileged in many different ways, including the country that I live in, and the fact that we have the means to have a place like this that we can call our own. So many of you, or so many people who fall into my situation, really don't have a chance at that. But I do hope that, as heaven forbid, if you are one of those people who have to deal with this journey, there are certainly ways to engage. And really, step one is to get out of the house. And I was advised by my doctors that that's a good thing, by my doctors and nurses that that's a good thing. It's a little trickier right now because of COVID. Ontario is in the middle of our 7th wave, so it does not escape me that I have to be extra careful, and so do you. But if the intent is to really go outside and try to find a park or an area, go for a drive, which is very common around where I live. Because I can't take long walks, I can't go for cycle rides, I can't do any of that stuff. But Sharon and I can go for a drive and go somewhere and then take a little bit of a stroll, and once again just disconnect and re-engage. So I just want to give you a bit of a sense of the non-medical side of what I'm going through, and how in fact positive it has been. And you can probably tell from my voice, this is a very different video from the more somber notes that you heard in the previous videos. And it will stay like this, I hope, for another week or so, because following this coming Wednesday, I am drug-free for a week, for 7 days. So during that time, I'm hoping to gain a bit more strength. And the next time we come up here, I may have some reasonable strength to maybe take a longer walk or help with the chores or something along that nature. So you might see another video from up here. So with that, take care. I'm doing well, and we'll see where we go from here.